Assume that duplicated the key are open or the cell was not locked by negligent officers attached. There was inside collaboration. They have not been arrested, but they are detained in the yard until further notice.
The escapees who were detained for kidnapping and armed robbery are currently on the run. However, investigations have commenced and the police notified of the situation.
ACG operation from the National Headquarters is currently at the center, investigating the remote cause or causes of the escape. Verbally reported the incident to the Commissioner of Police and have written the notice of escape and sent to his office so that joint effort will be made to recapture them.
2 of the escapees were amongst inmates who escaped while standing trial at a magistrate court in Barikin Ladi last year and later rearrested by the Operation Safe Haven. In Jos, Indenyan and the Abajang, NTA News.
Following the intervention of stakeholders, peace is gradually returning to Riom and Kaura local government areas of Plateau and Kaduna State. Abba Abubakar Yakubu has details.
Since 2013, these communities have been at loggerheads with one another over the issues of land, boundaries, and farmer-harvest clashes, which resulted in the loss of lives and property. With the intervention of the United States Institute of Peace, peace is gradually returning to the areas affected within Riom and Kaura local government areas of Plateau and Kaduna states.
Ever since there was this crisis, of course, peace has been returning gradually, but not completely. And so it is the process of, making it lasting that we are on.
We have seen a lot of changes in the community.
Illegal construction on other people's land, illegal mining, and rearing of cattle by young children have been among the burning issues of dispute. Plateau State Peace Building Agency said peace can only be achieved when the people resolve to live with one another.
It's a way going forward to resolving the kind of future we want to see, or rather to crafting the kind of future we want to see.
The peace-building organizations are to meet with the State and National Boundary Commission to address the boundary issues. In Jos, Abba Abubakar Yakubu, NTA News.
That's it from Jos. It's back to Ayodeji in Abuja for more reports.
Thanks, Frama. The Lagos-Ibadan standard gauge rail line has recorded 100% increase in passengers volume 1 month after its inauguration. Minister of Transportation Chibuike Rotimi Amechi, who made this known at a visit to ascertain the level of operations, disclosed that the constant breakdown of the Abuja-Kaduna rail line will be taken care of with the arrival of new coaches and spare parts. Oyinaya Kalu Oka reports.
The Minister of Transportation, Chibuike Rotimi Amechi, arrived at the Mobalaji Johnson station at Ebute Metta to kickstart the inspection so as to ascertain the level of operations and the finishing touches at some train stations. While at the stations, the minister interacted with some passengers waiting for boarding.
The timing is good, the comfort in the cabins are good. It was splendid.
With the increase of the volume of passengers to about 42,000 in the month of June alone, the minister directed that the number of trips be scaled up from 4 to 8 daily.
We intend to do that within the next 2 weeks. We're just sorting out the maintenance regime.
On the constant breakdown being witnessed in the Abuja-Kaduna train, the minister says it will be tackled in the next 6 months with the arrival of new coaches and spare parts.
The spare parts are not available. There are things you have to purchase. That those trains were bought 2016. There are 2 ways to go about it. We paid the Chinese people for Lagos-Ibadan. They had to deliver enough quantities for Lagos-Ibadan. If they deliver, we'll then be forced to use some of them for Kaduna-Abuja until we purchase enough listen for Kaduna-Abuja. So it's more of maintenance. That's what you're seeing.
The issue of salary review for NRC workers, transparency in handling of fund, and the delay in commencement of construction for the Port Harcourt-Maiduguri rail line were clarified by the minister.
But the truth is that we're ready to move on. We paid the contractor some money. We have to really wait until the public procurement department gives us approval, and the FEC also gives us approval on the supervising engineers. If the supervising engineers are not in place to tick off the drawings, you can't construct. So that's where we are. But that's the problem we have with Kano Maradi. That's the problem we have with Port Harcourt Meduguri, which are but these two in particular.
President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to inaugurate the construction of the Kano-Kaduna Rail project on the 15th of this month. Oyinaya Kalu Oka, NTA News.
And still on infrastructure management, 3 days after the collapse of a section of Rigachikun Bridge on Kaduna-Zaira Highway, repair work is yet to commence. Motorists plying the route are contending with traffic-related problems, as Haruna Muhammad reports.
What happened last year is repeating itself with the collapse of section of the bridge. As of yesterday evening and late into the night, traffic gridlock overwhelmed motorists from accessing destinations to the far north and southern part of Nigeria. The situation has eased, but it is only a matter of time before another traffic congestion builds up around the corridor. They say critical stakeholders should adopt robust approach in addressing traffic challenges to ease vehicular and pedestrian movement around infrastructure likely to be affected with increasing rainfall around the country. In Kaduna, Haruna Muhammad, NTA News.
In another development, the federal government has pledged commitments to the provision of enabling environments to enhance teaching and learning across the nation's higher institutions. Beatrice Aniyam reports that Chairman House Committee on Media and Publicity, Benjamin Kalu, inaugurated the access road rehabilitated by the federal government through the Ecological Fund Office at the Federal Polytechnic Nekede in Imo State.
The first port of call for the marathon inauguration of Ecological Fund projects captured in the second quarter of 2019, as approved by the Federal Executive Council, was the over 8-kilometer access road Gurku IDP camp in Karu local government area of Nasarawa State. With the perennial ecological challenge now history, government and the contractors are on the same page on the quality of work delivered.
There is no doubt in my mind that the project will enhance and improve the health status, socio-economic activities, and the general well-being of the people of these communities.
We must thank His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, for approving this road project.
I also want to use the opportunity to call on all members of this community to guard this laudable project and ensure that the drainage channels are not misused by indiscriminate dumping of waste.
Leaders of the community commended the government for keeping to its word.
I want to sincerely appreciate the federal government of Nigeria for this great intervention.
Thereafter, attention shifted to the University of Abuja, where the academic community benefited from the construction of drainage, retaining walls, erosion control. Another commitment delivered by the federal government was the erosion and flood control works at Kuchiaku 1 district in Kuje Area Council of the FCT. Abdullah Hajia, NTA News.
The report actually was by Abdullahi Ajia, not Beatrice Aniyam. Let's move on the news and also tell you that African countries must be quick and responsive and solution-driven on the continent's strategies to curb all forms of corrupt acts. This followed the call for more support and cooperation from regional leaders and international communities to combat corruption on the continent through regional frameworks. Comfort Amodu brings us details of the submissions as Nigeria joins counterparts to commemorate the 2021 Africa Anti-Corruption Day.
Is said to be the most demanding governance and development challenge Africa is faced with. African leaders do not spare their arsenals in the fight against the scourge as they continuously develop strategies for advancing the effectiveness of the anti-corruption fight among member countries. Due to the tough recession that many countries had to endure from the COVID-19 pandemic, African leaders are reinforcing stronger economic governance and calling for stronger collaboration between the African Union, the regional economic communities, member states, the private sector, and the media as they commemorate the 2021 African Anti-Corruption Day. The annual African Anti-Corruption Day is marked every 11th of July.
Africa, as you know, loses at least maybe $60 to $80 billion in terms of illicit capital flows, and we need to block that. Let's work, earn money, but let's earn clean money, and let's not shortchange Africa. That's very, very important.
The Nigerian government has been quick and responsive in demonstrating integrity in its governance through recovery of stolen assets, looted funds, blocking of revenue leakages, tax evasion, and more to revitalize the Nigerian economy through the aid of the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, PACAC, the EFCC, ICPC, and other anti-graft agencies.
We should encourage all African countries under the African Union and collaboration of South-South in nature to ensure that the issue of corruption becomes a permanent agenda in the United Nations system.
The need for transparency, accountability, particularly in the conduct of public officers, as well as both politically exposed personalities, is something that requires serious checks and balance.
The 5th edition of the African Anti-Corruption Day has the theme Regional Economic Communities, Critical Actors in the Implementation of the African Union Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption. In Abuja, Comfort Amadou, NTA News.
The House of Representatives says operators in the oil and gas industry must comply with environmental guidelines for sustainability. It was at the opening of an investigative hearing on alleged disregard for standards in their activities. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The investigative hearing jointly conducted by the House Committee on Environment and Committee on Host Communities was instituted in response to complaints bordering on non-compliance in activities such as drilling, hydrocarbon processing, pipelining, and refining, among others, by some operators in the oil and gas sector. The joint committees view the alleged breaches as unfair because of the deterioration of the environment.
The EIA Act has been in operation since 1992, and this legislation sought to compel industry operators to mainstream environmental concerns in their operations and activity streams. It has been alleged that there exists gross incidences of non-compliance to the EIA by oil and gas industry operators, resulting in serious environmental breaches.
Any abuses of these base issues are invitations to eventual humanitarian problems. The low-income nature of our affected communities put them on additional danger line. I say this because the natural capital in fishery and agriculture is already undermined and driven almost to extinction.
Some of the stakeholders noted collaborative efforts with host communities to mitigate impacts.
As you see in most documents, we have to get approvals from environment and DPR. We are subject to different determination of periods. So we are hoping and urging this House to please help the operators as well in simplifying these laws and governance so that we can have a simplified process whereby a single agency of the federal government can manage and govern this on behalf of the federal government.
And all the other activities necessary to ensure compliance with the EMP, we have also carefully followed.
The joint committees urge regulators to scale up on monitoring and also enforce the Environmental Impact Assessment Act in order to stop any projects that might cause significant damage to the environment. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
The people of the North Central geopolitical zone of the country are demanding for fairness in the allocation of the nation's resources, alleging that they have been shortchanged since the return of democracy in 1999, despite playing major role in the emergence of elected political office holders. This was the thrust of a meeting between the Niger State's Governor Abubakar Sani Bello and the North Central People's Forum, led by leader and former Deputy Senate President Ibrahim Mantu at Government House, Mina. Oseina Musa reports.
Issues bordering on socio-economic emancipation and the security of the North Central Zone topped the agenda of the interactive meeting between the Niger State Governor and the North Central People's Forum. The forum emphasized the need to accord the North Central Zone its due respect and be duly compensated for its efforts during the electioneering periods, which saw to the emergence of the government at the center. The group maintained that this will promote economic activities of the zone and its enormous potentials will be revived for the overall benefits of the country.
And the North Central states control most of the river country. If only attention will be focused on the North Central states, I believe the economic activity here will increase.
But no sacrifice will be too much for the people of the zone, for the peace and development they desire from us as their leaders.
Have a mouth. We must have an eye to see for us. We must have ears to hear for us, and also to demand our all right.
The forum, which is non-partisan, has the ultimate goal of pursuing the growth and development of the zone. The visit also featured presentation of investiture to Governor Abubakar Sani Bello by the North Central People's Forum. In Mena, Hussaina Musa, NTA News.
Our next stop on Nationwide is Port Harcourt Network Center, where Jenny will be giving us stories from the south zone of the country. Good evening, Jenny.
Good evening, Ayo, and welcome to Port Harcourt. The Spiritual Father Forum, Akwa Ibom State, has debunked the rumor that the forum has a preferred candidate for the 2023 governorship elections. The forum, headed by Prelate Emeritus Sunday Mbang, has also warned electorates not to support any political candidate whose background is linked to cultism or of questionable character. Nsika Okon reports that the forum's position was made public at a press briefing in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State.
This is 2021, but investigation shows that the consultation for political offices in the 2023 general elections has started. In Akwa Ibom State, Prelate Sondemban says 13 persons have so far approached to inform him of their ambitions. He told journalists that as a leader of the Spiritual Fathers Forum, he will not want any electorate to vote for any person with cultism background. The prelates maintain that as a non-political forum, the Spiritual Fathers are concerned with prayers to God to expose to the electorate credible candidates who are God-fearing that will govern the state and nation for needed socio-political development of the society.
It would be counterproductive if we are asking God and asking conscientiously and work so conscientiously to ensure that the people of the state elect a credible, honest Christian citizen with good leadership qualities and personal probity.
The Spiritual Fathers Forum Akwa Ibom State is composed of leaders who are 70 years and above and holding positions as church leaders across the states. In Uyo, Nsika Okon, NTA News.
TV and Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, have agreed to strengthen collaboration in areas of information gathering and dissemination that would translate to enhanced national security and protection of the nation's critical assets. This was when NTA Port Harcourt management team visited Nigerian Navy ship Pathfinder as the two agencies deepened their existing inter-agency partnership. Kingsley Amajiri reports.
NNS Pathfinder has been playing leading and strategic role in the campaign against sea piracy, illegal oil bunkering and refining, counter-oil theft, and security of Nigeria's critical national assets within the River State Maritime Domain. NTA Port Harcourt Network Center, on its part, has over the years remained a strategic partner with the Nigerian Navy in areas of intelligence gathering and information dissemination, With Commodore Abdullahi Ahmed coming on board at NNS Pathfinder, he sees NTA Port Harcourt Network Center as a worthy partner to get the job done.
What we basically do here is we have already pointed out sea patrol, particularly issue of counter-piracy operations. So we do a lot of anti-group-oriented theft here. Lastly, we also do a lot of escort.
NTA Zonal Director commended the NNS Pathfinder for its leading role in maritime security, intimating the command of NTA's Security Watch program, where it could showcase more of its activities.
NNS Pathfinder and the Nigerian Television Authority, we are doing basically the same thing, but in different ways. You receive intelligence, we give information. The intelligence you receive, you use it within your own circle. There are different areas that we can collaborate. There are some things unreported that you will want the members of the public to know. And that is why we are here.
High point of the visit was inspection tour of the naval facilities at the command. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
Reports from here nationwide will continue with Mohammed in Maiduguri after the break.
Compatriots, our country can be as great as we want.
Let us all commit ourselves to its greatness.
We must be willing to set aside our differences, unite and stay as one.
In our expansive landmass, human and material resources, and plurality lies our strength.
Let our challenges lead us to rediscover our common ground, and together, let's find solutions.
This will take some time, so it requires patience, tolerance, and forgiveness from every one of us.
Let all hands come on deck to protect and transform our country.
Let us unite and see each other not as adversaries, but as brothers and sisters.
Together, we can build a better Nigeria for ourselves and for the next generations.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA, with support from Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency. The Council of Our Fathers.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Good evening and welcome to Nationwide from Maiduguri. As part of efforts to reposition the education and health sectors for better service delivery, Borno State Government has inaugurated Need Assessment Committee for the two critical sectors. Governor Babagana Umar Zulum inaugurated the committee at the Government House Maiduguri with a call on the stakeholders to work towards sanitizing the sectors. Mohamed Goni reports.
The Assessment Committee for Education and Health Sectors comprises members of the State Assembly, commissioners, local government chairmen and secretaries, as well as 2 senior special assistants from each local government area, education secretaries and primary healthcare coordinators.
We want to inaugurate a committee to go down to the grassroots level and verify the authenticity of the reports that we have at hand.
Part of the terms of reference of the committee include identifying a number of primary and secondary school, clinics and general hospital, and facilities in each, including classrooms, laboratories, libraries, wash facilities, and type of equipment and drugs needed. Others are staff strength in 2 sectors and capacities of the teaching and medical staff, as well as training needed to be provided, among others. Mara, who noted the deplorable condition of the 2 sectors, said, though the state government has constructed infrastructures in the 2 sectors, such as more schools, clinics, and hospitals, there are other necessary ingredients that are needed to be provided, such as qualified teachers, medical and health workers, as well as other necessary facilities for the 2 sectors to function effectively. The governor stressed that the state government has no plan to lay off anybody, adding that those in need of training will be sent for further study, while more graduates and NC holders will be recruited to meet up the staff requirement of the 2 sectors. He commended the Teachers Verification Committee for doing a good job, which uncovered 423 million naira being pocketed by few individuals to the detriment of the children. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
Maiduguri and environs had experienced terrible effects of flooding due to poor drainage network with far-reaching consequences on lives and property during rainy season. Now that the wet season has set in, Paul Nkujevana takes a look at effort to mitigate the worrying phenomenon.
The importance of drainage systems in a city cannot be overemphasized, as it is an infrastructure to dispose liquid waste and excess water, as well as accommodate volume of water during rainy season to avoid flooding on the built environment and risk on humans therein.
I'm happy for the governor for the work that he is doing for the state.
While some drainages in Maiduguri and environs have remained blocked for the past 3 decades, others were filled with waste materials due to human activities, thereby causing the flooding being experienced. Hence, the massive evacuation, expansion, and construction of drainage systems by the state government.
We dispute it, we evacuate it, and now water is moving freely. So I'm appealing to our people, please, disease dumping or refuse on waterways.
Waterways with natural features that beautify the settlement have been polluted with refuse, in addition to humans building and erecting structures, which often hinders free flow of water, so bad that lives and property are being destroyed during the wet season.
A formal compensation with regards to all the illegal structures is a no. Somebody will just do an illegality and you compensate him. Tomorrow, a lot of people will go into the riverbanks and the waterways to build.
The governor has given us green light, every support to enforce the law on any illegal developer.
Water is a nature's gift that one cannot live without. Therefore, it is a general responsibility on all to ensure adequate drainage systems are available and kept free of all elements that can block it. In Maiduguri, Paul Nkujevana, NTA News.
Those are the stories from this end. Is back to Ayo in Abuja.
Thank you, Mohammed, in our Maiduguri Network Center there. Let's tell you that President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated the Dean of Medical Practice and first Professor of Medicine in Nigeria, Professor Emeritus Theophilus Oladipo Ogunlesi, as he turns 98 on July 12. In a statement, the president recognized Professor Ogunlesi's contribution to the growth of medicine, especially by spearheading the training of generations of Nigerians, many of whom became vice-chancellors of universities, ministers of health and distinguished medical professionals in Nigeria and across the world. President Buhari thanks the eminent professor for giving the best of his life for the service of his immediate family, the Nigerian nation, and the medical profession across the world. He praised God to grant him good health, grace, and more years of service to Nigeria and humanity. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadia Farouk, says the federal government is not relenting in its bid to lift millions of Nigerians out of poverty through effective implementation of the National Social Investment Program. She stated this at the distribution of engagement letters and tablets to 56 trained independent monitors for the program in Ogun State. Lukman Adefeso reports.
The minister, who was represented, says 56 independent monitors from Ogun State are among 4,452 applicants shortlisted nationwide. She explained that the working tools, which include tablets distributed to the independent monitors, will be used to monitor activities of designated number of beneficiaries under the National Social Investment Program and subsequently report back for optimal performance.
They are engaged with the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development for 1 year to monitor the implementation of these programs in their states, starting from their local governments.
Ogun State Commissioner for Special Duties, Femi Ogubanwo, while commending the initiative, says the state government is committed to ensuring the success of the program.
The roles of independent monitors cannot therefore be overemphasized. Without any doubt, the tablets being distributed will help monitor the effectiveness of the program in Ogun State.
We are sure that we will do our part to the best of our ability without any fear or favor.
I will try as much as possible to serve the country with my whole heart.
Since inception, the implementation of the National Social Investment Program initiated by the federal government has tackled unemployment and lifted many youths and women out of poverty in Ogun State.
Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency has confirmed Lagdo Dam in Cameroon is not open. This is in response to reports in media claiming that the flood incident recorded in some parts of Jalingo in Taraba State was aggravated by the release of water from the Cameroonian Lagdo Dam. A statement from the agency indicates that the flash flood in Jalingo was caused by localized heavy downpour that occurred from the night of Friday 9th July to early Saturday 10th July in Mayogoi area of Jalingo. Poor drainage systems, buildings erected on flood path, among other human factors, the agency said were responsible for the flood. The annual flood outlook released earlier in the year by NISA indicates that Taraba State is among states with high probable flood risk in the event of rainfall with high intensity. The statement also advised residents to take precautions in good time to avoid losses. Over 5,000 residents of Cross River State have benefited from free medical outreach rendered by the Nigerian Navy Reference Hospital in Calabar. Achibong Basi reports that the exercise is in fulfillment of Nigerian Navy's corporate social responsibility to the people of Calabar and its environs.
The free medical outreach is intended to cater for the health needs of the poor and the needy. The commander, Nigerian Navy Reference Hospital, Captain Uche Naokeki, says the exercise is also a way of creating awareness among members of the public that the Nigerian Navy Reference Hospital is not only open to the military, but that the public should take advantage of the equipment available and services rendered in the hospital to meet their health needs.
We've been able to control the crowd, make sure that we are keeping to social distancing, and at the same time help them take care of their health needs.
Services rendered include free eye tests and provision of free eyeglasses, free hospital registration, free laboratory tests, and free dental care with free toothpaste and toothbrushes.
I wish other arms of the forces can copy here what the Navy is doing. Everything is clean, white and so on, like their uniform.
I'm so excited. Yes, I'm grateful. Okay, and thanks to them.
It's good, and it gives me the length.
The General Manager, NTA Calabar, Mr. Sam Olaludi, took advantage of the exercise to carry out his medical checkup. In Calabar, Achibombasi, NTA News.
And in sports, Kada Stars and Delta Queens are champions of National Hockey League, as Manzi Marcus reports on Sports Updates.
Kada Stars of Kaduna are champions of the 2021 Nigeria National Hockey League, played at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja. They beat Police Machine 3-0 in the final match to earn 12 points. Both teams will, however, represent Nigeria in the Africa Cup for Club Champions competition to be held in Malawi in September. In the women's category, Delta Queens and Plateau Queens will represent Nigeria in the same competition. Meanwhile, Nigeria's national basketball team, the Tigers, are going to the Tokyo 2020 Olympics with confidence after defeating Olympics defending champions USA 90-87 points in a friendly decided in Las Vegas. This marks Team USA's first loss to an African team. At Nigeria's Olympics debut in London 2012, USA defeated Nigeria 156-73 points. After the London Olympics, USA equally emerged victorious 110-66 points in an exhibition match. The Tigers failed to make it beyond the group stage at the Rio 2016 Olympics, the same result at the London 2012 Olympics. In football, the Kada Football Club of Uyo defeated Heartland of Uweri by a lone goal at the Nest of Champions in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital, in week 32 of the Nigeria Professional Football League. The Kada now have 46 points as Heartland returns to the drawing board to avoid another defeat.
Even though we considered a goal that was as a result of a mistake, I know going back home we'll correct our mistakes and move on.
Celebrations are still on in Argentina, having broken a 28-year-old jinx to win the Copa America title. Angel Di Maria's lone goal gave Argentina victory over hosts Brazil to equal Uruguay's record of 15 Copa America titles. Lionel Messi received the award of Best Player of the tournament with 4 goals, finally earning a top honor for Argentina in its 10th major competition. With Sports Update, Manzi Marcus, NTA News.
And that is Nationwide. We thank you for watching. I'm Ayo Deji. Makinde. Please remember to join with NTA and connect with the NTA in the stand against rape and rapists to be a star. On behalf of the entire production crew, good evening.
Welcome. It's time for another interesting package of
Everything Music.
Angelina, you dey cool in my temperature. If you call, I go come deliver.
This is Talking Movies.
In times of old, the world was full of wonder. No!
Stop it! Welcoming you to your weekend for today.
Arise, oh compatriots. It's time to use our voice.
Beyond 6 packs.
Bills.
Pay the bills. Keep paying telephone bills. Pay my bills.
Welcome to Gallery.
Me and my paddies.
London for what?
London for medicine.
Medicine for what?
Medicine for coffee.
Are you sickness?
To our illness. Welcome to Gist Zone.
All right, my name is the Eselucien Wego One. Ona nyokoko nyonyo.
This
This is the network service of the NTA.
Welcome to Abrahamic Mission. This is a fresh edition, the one that today that we want to discuss the plight of widow and widower in our midst. We have been seeing a lot of challenges that faces these people, that is, people who have lost either their wife or their husband. We have seen so many ways in which they are being treated, but we now want to look at it from religious point of view. The way they are being treated, is it right, or is it any better way of treating them? Are there any solution from our religious books? And that is why today we'll be discussing widow. My name is Imam Fuad Adeyemi, and joining me in the studio to discuss this is Bishop Peter Ogumuewa, who is the Bishop of the African Church Diocese of Abuja and the North and the coordinating chaplain, National Christian Center. Bishop, you are welcome.
Thank you very much. Well, you are welcome.
Thank you so much. And also we have our sheikh here who is say a multi-talented sheikh who is from the National Mosque, is the Sheikh Abaka Siddiq. He translates and coordinates so many things in National Mosque. If you are been to National Mosque here in Abuja, you must have known him. Sheikh Abaka Siddiq, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Imam.
Thanks so much. Today we will be discussing widows. And widows, we all know, with the way they were being treated, especially in our country. I was reading a book, it said, a wrong place to be a widow is this our country. And we want to look at it from our religious point of view, what has Christianity or Christian religion says about widow, and the same thing goes to Islam. What has Islam got to say about widow? In some culture in Nigeria, when the husband dies, the kind of things they subject a woman to is terribly inhuman. In some culture, they will shave her hair. In some, she will drink the water that they use to bath her husband. In some culture, she must be in a secluded area in the dark with black cloth, no bath, no anything, for like 41 days. But to us, let me start from Bishop. To you, who is a widow?
Well, it's a common saying, a widow or widower. A widow is a lady that was married and lost her husband. We have young widows and we have adult widows. Of course, adult widow is a woman who lost her husband, while the young widow is a lady, a young lady newly wedded or not too long wedded, all of a sudden lost her husband.
Sheikh, I don't know, you want to add more? Who is a widow? Let me say from religious point of view. Let's forget about other people's definition.
No, I think he's been able to say it all. I mean, as far as who is a widow is concerned. Only to add maybe from your introduction what you said concerning the society, how it treats the widow. It's not new, because before Islam, the widow was part of the chattel to be inherited by heirs. So she was not considered a human being. She was part of what, another person can just come, whether she likes that person or not. She was not a human, so she was a chattel and inherited. So it was Islam that now brought life into the widow, and gave her all her rights and privileges, financial independence. She can decide what to do. you have stopped him from quoting from the scripture. Maybe I'll stop here because from this point I have to go into the scripture.
Okay, probably you want to discuss status, like you've rightly said.
Yes.
I think that's a status of a widow now.
Yes, yes.
She can do. You can take it up from there.
Yes. So Islam not only said.
I'm talking about status now.
Yes, she can. She's not a chattel. She's not a property to be inherited. She is part of the heirs. She inherits from her husband, and nobody can take that away from her. If the husband, if there was no issue, no children in the marriage, she's entitled to 1/4 of the entire heritage of the husband. If there are issues which now involves other heirs, children and so on, then she would have 1/8 of the total number of or wealth of the late husband.
Bishop,
well, where we come in here is I wouldn't want to narrow it only to Christianity, because I believe we are talking about religion here. What has religion provided?
That is where we are going.
So both Christianity and Islam makes provision for widows and widowers. They are not the widow, the young widow. In fact, the scripture, the Bible makes us understand that if she desires to remarry, she can remarry. But if she decided to remain with the family and the children, then it is her choice to do that. And so she should be accorded a due respect. So to be a widow is not a crime, and a widow should not be stigmatized, because she did not make herself a widow. It was one of the natural occurrences of life that makes her a widow. And so the Bible provides that if she refuses to remarry, then the family must take adequate care of such a woman. Of course, in the Old Testament scripture, it provides that if the younger person to the husband decides to marry the lady, and the woman accepts, consent to that, a widow should not be forced into remarrying. So if she decides to remarry and there is somebody suitable amongst the family that may marry her, it is permitted. But the important thing is that that young widow must not be allowed, must not be subjected to hardship within the family. She must be respected and taken good care of. And beyond the family, the church also is enjoined in the Bible to take care of their young widows. Yeah, there's this emphasis on young widows.
Please, I want to know how.
The old or adult, the old widows, of course, you know, must have taken. Some of them were already widowed before becoming the real widows, because they don't have anything to do with their husband sexually and all sorts of things like that. They depend largely on their children and the estate to survive. But the Bible says for the young widows, the church must make provision for them, in that if there is there should be a space whereby contributions be made for them, clothing, feeding. The widows in the church must not be allowed to become wayward. You know, like what we have in our society today, the hardship, the economic hardship in the society leads so many people into all kinds of vices. So it is a sin to the church where a young widow is made, by the circumstance she found herself, to now start prostituting, for instance, because she must make ends meet. So it is important, according to the scripture in 1 Timothy chapter 4, that the young widows should be catered for, and where she does not enjoy enough support, whether from the family or the congregation, the church. She's free to remarry and to marry rightly, rather than going into the world and into the society and becoming a nuisance. Same thing goes to a widower. Like I said earlier, a widower is a man. And so a young widower is also allowed to remarry. You can remarry, and instead of you tasting women hereabout. So both the young widower and the young widows, the Bible makes it expedient for the church to have their eyes on them and make sure that their vacancies, as it were, are really filled up.
Interesting. Yes, maybe before your question, let me just pick up from...
Okay, please go ahead.
Yes. You know, I'm happy hearing the things coming. As if I'm the one talking. I mean, in some of the points, I would say, well, excellent. That is it. I mean,
you know,
it's one
I'm
of the same
afraid to say it. Why I always want to listen to Bishop.
Yes.
You learn new things,
yes,
especially from the biblical point of view.
Yes. But in Islam, just like he has said, is the same thing. She can remarry where she wants to marry. But Islam has given her the mourning period. It's not that the husband dies today and next week somebody, a suitor is coming to say, I'm interested, because as he said, a young widow. No, she has in Islam 4 months and 10 days to mourn, to heal, to reassess her life, to think of the person. You know, she has planned to spend her entire life with somebody. That person is no more. They have children that are young and needing attention, needing help. Yes, she inherits from his property. She would not be subjected to the family of her former husband or her deceased husband. Okay. Because we have our wickedness in us as humans. The wife of a family member is seen as an alien, is seen as a usurper of something that belongs to them. So if you allow your family to be, that is your wife, that, you know, this will open a lot of issues. When you marry, you must give your wife such independence as she would be able to conduct her life without you, without anybody's help. If she is not educated, she doesn't know how to make 1 naira to be 2 naira. She's not exposed. She doesn't know what she is kept in the house and in the kitchen. Then you have killed yourself. You have killed yourself. You have killed your children. Because whatever you may leave behind for this woman, she will squander it in no time, because other people would come and confuse her and take the money. 419 are just there waiting for such young widows who are ill-experienced. They would go to them, you know, giving them a lot of 419 investments, and the money is gone. But where she knows exactly what to do, even your family, your extended family, your brothers, your sisters, your cannot do anything to the wife. She has that independence. Islam has given it to her. She controls her wealth. What is hers is hers. Where the Quran speaks about issue, children, male and female, then the inheritance stops there. Except where your parents are alive, that is where they would come in. But where your parents are not alive, and you die and you will leave property for the wife, it is for that wife and those children. When the uncles come, they just come there as onlookers. As observers. The Quran says when this type of people come, you can just give them something out of it, because at least they have been there and they have seen how wealth has changed hands from the father to the wife and the children. They have no share in it. You just give them something. It's not that, okay, now that our son is gone, but that house is my own. This car, I want it for. I mean, once the wife is so trained, and she knows her right, she can deal with such, even without going to the court. But if you allow your wife to be the wife of Sheikh, who doesn't know anything about life. You have exposed her to be susceptible to undermining and cheating by your own when you are not there. So that is really very important. We have when we live with women, we should think of her life and that of the children we are leaving behind after us. So that is important. Nobody would come and confuse her that, okay, now that your husband is not there, I want to marry you. She needs time. She has that independence. The Quran. You saw any other person that dies, including her father, she has only 3 days to mourn him. That's Islam. She has only 3 days to mourn her father, her son, her brother, whatever. After 3 days, life comes back to normal. But her husband, she stays 4 months and 10 days.
Why such a long period?
To reassess life again, to make informed decisions about her own life. She has money now. Maybe the husband has been the one doing everything. Now everything has come back to her. She has that responsibility to look after this wealth for these young ones that are there. The school fees, hospital issues, life generally. It's not that the husband is dead and everything changes. The cars are sold. It's not. Islam is not looking at life after the husband as the end of the whole thing. So that is why she has all the privilege and right to direct what she wants the way she wants it, to dictate it the way it should be. Nobody would come from outside and tell her what to do. And for the suitors, it's not a condition that somebody from the family has to marry her. No. She has right to say, I'm not interested in marriage anymore.
What about, I'm sorry, the one they say, a woman who is not married, especially from Islam point of view, that a woman who does not have anybody on her head, that she can't get to paradise.
No,
and so many things
that is their own make belief. This woman has been married, and marriage itself, what is it in Islam? Many scholars have lived and died without marriage, without a wife. Scholars that we take from the exegesis, the explanations
like
about
who?
the religion, like Ibn Taymiyyah.
Ibn Taymiyyah has no...
Ibn Taymiyyah lived and died without a wife. And many more, many such scholars. Yes. They said, I will dedicate my life to scholarship and to teaching people. Marriage is out of it. So will Ibn Taymiyyah not go to paradise? The one with Tafsir at-Tabari, I think, either Tabari or so. Many of such scholars.
Okay.
So marriage is not a condition for going into paradise. So where she says, no, I have had enough.
Okay. But we've had a lot to say if a woman remains single after probably she is divorced or she lost her husband, that it is not good. What messages we always hear that, please, you need to get married. You probably
as he said, young widows. Once people see young widow, especially where she has money, they will quote all the verses that do not exist to convince her so that they will marry her and squander her money. Yes, if you want to marry a widow, you should. The one that we said we are following the Sunnah. Is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who after all the marriages he did were to help the widow and the orphans.
Okay, I will come back there because I'm really interested in that.
But now he has first wife, you want to marry second. Instead of him to go and look for a widow that has children to look after, he wants a juicy widow. Or a very young girl that does not know anything.
I'm coming. Please let me come back to Bishop.
Okay.
Before you continue, we will take a short break. Then after the break, how we are going to provide for the needy and the widow, you explain after the short break.
Nigeria, our great nation with vast and rich land. Our people are strong and united. Our founding fathers, Sir Ahmadu Bello, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, and a host of others bequeathed us a united, peaceful and prosperous Nigeria. Let us honor them by living in peace with one another. Let us eschew violence, ethnic profiling, and religious bigotry. We must avoid hate speech and other forms of derogatory words against our fellow Nigerians. Let our differences in tribes, cultures, religions, or politics be the ingredients that make our unity palatable. Let us all join hands to fight our common enemies of insecurity, poverty, and unemployment. Nigeria is big enough for us all. Let's unite to make our country a great place for us all. This message is from Sir Ahmadu Bello Memorial Foundation in collaboration with Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Yeah, welcome back. If you are just joining us, Bishop is discussing what the role the church should play in taking care of the widow.
Well, like I said earlier, the church's duty is to make sure that we take care of the needy and the widow. Now, the widow, like I said, has an opportunity of remarrying if they so desire to remarry. But in a situation whereby she cannot, for certain reasons, or she does not want to remarry, then she is even allowed to work. Apart from what she must have inherited from her former husband, which should be his right because she was properly married to the man. So there is provision both from the law and the scripture that says that what is due for her must be given to her. And if she's lucky to have had a rich husband, and she now have enough money to start business and to work, she's free to do that. Such widow does not necessarily need help from the church, those who are economically okay. But the widow, they only need help that such a widow need from the church is spiritual help, and then to remove this stigmatization thing, this stigma from her, not to begin to stigmatize her that maybe she is a witch and that is why she lost her husband, or she's this or that. Accident happens to anybody, and the duty of the church is to be protective of our members so that the members feel secured, feel comforted within the church environment as provided by the Bible itself. Jesus had a sort of dealings with some widows, and the one you quoted, the Shunammite widow in the book of Second Kings, this widow was not very rich. She could not inherit much, but she was on her own trying to manage the little resources, farming and other things. And when the prophet Elijah visited her and wanted the Lord through the leading of the Spirit of God, and he wanted bread from her, the woman said, well, the little I have is only for me and my child to eat and in fact die, because there was no hope for food the following day. It can show to you how some widows go through serious hardship. That Shunammite woman was a woman that was going through such a circumstance. But because God wanted to identify her, God located her and wanted to show to the whole world that widows should not be neglected. The man of God visited her and requested that she also feed her. The woman, the widow, was a generous woman. She had a very good nature to accommodate. And so that nature really helped her. And eventually, by the time the man of God left her, she was blessed. And her wealth increased miraculously. The bread, the little bread and wheat that they were supposed to eat, God blessed it through the prophet of God, and then she became very rich, and she had more than enough to take care of her child. So that is to say that we can have a poor widow, but a widow must also be in connection with God, must be spiritual. Because when you say you are a widow, when we even said the church must make provision for you, it is not that it is totally a widow that is not committed to God, that is not, as it were, born again, giving her life to God, cannot be taken care of by the church. But a widow that his activities in the church is noted. Everybody knows that this woman is a child of God.
Okay.
And so the Bible provides that such a person be taken care of. Then coming to your second question, that whether a widower can remarry, should have to
a widow, probably she can remarry, and now probably somebody wants to marry, has gotten a wife at home before. So
well, you see, in the Christendom, like he said, and I have said it on this program when we were talking on issue of marriage. Marriage is not a certificate to heaven. I'm even very happy to hear that there are some Islamic scholars that did not marry. So marriage is not a certificate to heaven. You can marry and miss heaven, and you may not marry and you still make heaven. It depends on what you are able to do in your lifetime to affect humanity and then to the service of God. So if in the scripture, in the Christian canon, we are not encouraged to have more than a wife. If you are already married, you are supposed to be satisfied with that your wife. So, but when you lose your wife to death, you are free to marry another wife. There is no sin in that. So, if you are a married man and you feel there's a widow in the church and which you feel the only way you can help her is to marry her, there is no provision for that in the scripture, in the New Testament scripture in particular. I'm not saying those who from whichever way, get married to another woman who is a widow to add to the wife they have. I'm not saying they won't make heaven. I am not being judgmental, but going by the biblical standard, which is the New Testament standard. In the Old Testament, so many things happened.
Okay.
But when the New Testament, when Jesus came, Jesus practically preached one man, one woman.
We thank you for being part of this, and the viewers at home, we thank you, we appreciate you. You can also be part of this program if you listen to Radio Nigeria every Sunday by 5 p.m. on network.
Radio Nigeria?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's also being picked the same time every Sunday by 5 p.m.
Okay.
And the repeat is also on Sunday by 5 p.m. also. My name still remains Imam Fuad Adeyemi. On behalf of all of us, I'm saying bye-bye.
This is the network service of the NTA.
The culinary space in Nigeria is filled with so many delicacies that make up a viable food tourism industry. Diamond Dishes is in 3 series, celebrating Nigerian cuisines in their various forms. we will explore dishes from the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria, namely Northeast, Northwest, North Central, Southeast, Southwest, and the South-South. Today, we have 2 chefs, Oluwatoyin Ajayi, cooking for the Southwest, while Ala Dokubo will cook for the southern parts of Nigeria. Welcome to Diamond Dishes, powered by the Interministerial Committee on Nigeria at 60 project.
The Ofada rice derived its name from the small community in Ogun State called Ofada in Obafemi Owode local government. The Ofada rice is highly nutritious. The Ofada rice is different from our normal polished rice because it has a soluble and insoluble fiber, twice our normal polished rice. That's why it's highly nutritious and it's healthier because we have a lot of health benefit. Today we are going to make Ofada sauce along with our Ofada rice. We are making scotch pepper, that's atarodo in Yoruba, and bell pepper, tatashe, the green one, which is the traditional way of making it. We use our salted meat, our pomo, palm oil, iru, that is called dawadawa in Hausa, that's locust bean, onions, albosa, crayfish, big one, the shrimps, then the normal crayfish that some of us are conversant with in the market. We have our dry fish, that is roasted panla, and the normal catfish dried one that we can use as well. Now, our rice is washed. Okay. We'll pour it on our boiling water on the fire. This is palm oil, it's highly nutritious. We have to bleach our palm oil for Ofada sauce. Some people like to bleach to the level that it will look like groundnut oil, and some bleach it minimal. Depends on your choice, individual differences. Our palm oil is on the fire now, bleaching. Now our rice is parboiled. You need to rinse the water because Ofada rice has a peculiar odor. So we need to rinse it again. Now I've rinsed my Ofada rice. Taking it back to the fire because of its smell. Ofada rice is not well refined as our normal parboiled rice. It's only the husk at the back that they remove. It is on its natural way, and that is why that smell is much. So it has its own peculiar odor. Now I put the rice on fire, I wash it, put a little pinch of salt. Back to our sauce. Our palm oil is well bleached now. So the next thing that we are going to add is the onions. After the onions, we'll add our shredded roasted panla fish, or if it is catfish, dried catfish that we want to use. Why we want to add it now is to make it to dry a little bit so that it will not scatter inside so that we can feel it inside the sauce. Turn it gently. Allow it to fry the next 2 minutes. Now I've washed my iru, that's locust bean. Dawa in Hausa, that's the next thing I'll pour inside my sauce. Iru is highly nutritious. It has a lot of vitamin A and it's good for our size. The next thing that I'm going to pour is our blended raw pepper. That's Scottish pepper and bell pepper, atarodo and tatase. You have to stir it very well to get even. I'll now add my crayfish that I've blended. I'll allow it to cook for 3 minutes because the pepper has been parboiled. Now our sauce has fried for 3 minutes. We are now going to add our shrimp. That's a day washed one. We'll add our salted meat. We call it orishirishi. Cow skin, pomo, then our seasoning. I'll cover it back for it to steam. I'm going to add my egg because egg is also a source of protein. I believe that the rice is a carbohydrate, has energy-giving food, but the carbohydrate in the ofada rice is moderate. I'll allow the egg to steam for the next 2 or 3 minutes. Then our ofada sauce is ready. Now our ofada rice is ready. I'm not going to allow the water to dry. I'm going to drain the water with our sieve or colander, as you may call it. Okay. Our ofada rice is ready. And this is our ofada rice. You can see that it's not like normal white rice. It has a brown stripe, like burgundy. It's because this does not pass through the genetic modification that the normal parboiled rice used to pass. This one is direct from farm. They remove the husk. They soak it for 3 days and remove, like 3, 4, 5 days. They remove the husk and our rice is ready for eating. And that is why it has that peculiar odor. Now I'm going to wrap our ofada rice with our moi leaf. This leaf is called eweran in Yoruba language. It has its own flavor. That you see that a lot of people die for moi elewe. It It is because of the flavor. So I'm going to wrap our ofada rice with the leaf.
From the southwest, we take a look at the preparation of the dish from the south-south.
To prepare the fisherman soup, we have all the ingredients that you need. So I'm going to introduce the ingredients to you. This is our blended fresh pepper. Here we have the snail. In my dialect, we call it osin. Then we have the crabs, which is called ekoli. Then we have the okra. Then we have the whelks. In my dialect, we call this the ingolo. And then we have isam, which English name is periwinkle. We have the palm oil, we have the seasoning cubes, we have our salt, we have the powdered cocoyam. Now, the reason why we're using the powdered cocoyam is for easy use, but if you want to use the other one, you can still buy it, peel, boil it, and then pound it, and make sure it doesn't have, there's no lumps in it. Then we have the shrimps and the uziza leaf. Now, you can still use your bitter leaf instead of the uziza leaf. Any which one is okay to cook the soup. And then we have the red gari, which we're going to be making eba with. So, and we have the fish, tilapia. Now, in place of tilapia, you can use catfish, you can use barracuda, you can use red snapper, any of the saltwater fresh fish, you can use it. Now, these are the ingredients for fresh fish fisherman soup. If you want to cook fisherman soup with meat like beef, cow leg, chicken, and the rest, your shrimps has to be dried. You don't use fresh shrimps, you use dried shrimps. Yes, so I'm going to start cooking the soup. My pot is on fire and my water is already boiling, so we'll start with the palm oil. I take my palm oil and you have to measure your palm oil to put the proper amount with the level of water in your pot. And then I take the blended fresh pepper and add to it. This also, you measure and then you stir. I'm going to add the salt. Here's my salt. And then I'm covering my pot after stirring. Okay, so you need little amount of water to mix with your cocoyam powder. Okay. When mixing your cocoyam powder, make sure you stir until it's smooth, until there's no lumps in it. So one more thing is I'm going to put all my ingredients like the shrimps, crabs, snail, periwinkle, and the whelks after my seasoning. It's okay. That is because we're cooking with fresh fish and for the fish not to break inside the pot. But if you are cooking with meat, you can add everything before you put in your stock. So I'm going to, while you're putting your cocoyam, make sure you stir your water. Okay. So wait for some minutes for the water to boil and mix with the cocoyam. When you get your desired thickening, then you can add the other ingredients. So I'm going to add the seasoning cubes here. Then I'll add my periwinkle, snail, shrimps, crabs, and the whelks. Periwinkle. Stir. And adding my whelks. Snail. Crabs. And then you stir. Then you wait for about 5 to 10 minutes before adding your fish. The fisherman soup is the popular soup of the Niger Deltans, and it can be cooked with all the ingredients and the little one that you have, which means it's actually one of the richest soups. But if you don't have all the ingredients, you can still enjoy your fisherman soup. So periwinkles, fish, the whelks. If you don't have the whelks, you can still cook with the periwinkle and the fish and the shrimps. You know, the periwinkle is one. In fact, everything every of the ingredients in Superman in our fisherman soup, it's from the sea. So the riverine people enjoy cooking the fisherman soup because it's one of the Chomso delicacy that we have. So right now, I'm going to tell you the nutritional values of all the ingredients. Like the tilapia. The tilapia is very rich in vitamin B, is rich in protein and iron. Then the crabs helps build muscles. That's what the crab does. Then the snail, it strengthens the eyes, yeah, and then it helps in body growth. Then the whelks, which is the ngolo, is very rich in essential vitamins that prevents cancer if consumed in moderate form. Then the last, which is the periwinkle helps its inflammation. So basically, all the ingredients of the fisherman soup is very rich in protein, vitamin B3, fatty acid, omega-3 fatty acids, iron, and zinc. Here is our soup boiling. So we're going to add the ozizel leaf to the soup. Our soup is almost ready with the ozizel leaf. And then stir. Then we're going to put our fish. Now you don't need to stir after putting your fish, so the fish doesn't pieces in the soup. All you can do is turn your pot this way, and then you're good to go. So we'll wait for about 5 minutes, and then we'll put the last ingredients on the table, which is the okra in it, and then we're done. So while waiting for our soup, let me put the water for the eba on fire. There you go. Okay. Now we'll add the final ingredient, which is the okra. And once you put your okra, remember not to leave the pot for more than 2 minutes. So we put our okra. Make sure you don't put too much okra in the fisherman soup so it doesn't turn to okra soup. Yeah, just little okra for the draw. So we're going to wait for 2 minutes, and then our food is ready. Our soup is ready. Let's take a look at our soup. Ta-da! Yes. So we're going to take it off the fire.
We hope you have enjoyed your time with us in the kitchen. Join us again next time on the network service of the NTA for another edition of Diamond Dishes. Bye for now.